I would be curious to hear what is your definition of leadership?
I think that if I have only one tip or piece of advice, and it's not necessarily evident, especially for my generation, is to be yourself or sincere at the day one. A lot of people, they imagine that they need to play a role or to play a game or to imitate. Guys, be yourself. You need also to keep this humanity. If now I'm 60 years old, it's absolutely possible to be trained, to go back at school, to learn, to pass exams. I need people who are embarked with the same qualities. Energy, curiosity, respect of others.
Welcome to the Luxury Leadership Talks, a podcast and videocast in which I discuss with inspiring, charismatic leaders of premium and luxury companies about their leadership styles, about their way of influencing, impacting, and guiding people. And today, we are going to dive into the leadership secrets of the world's biggest, most successful company in perfumes and cosmetics. I guess you know which company I'm talking about. It was my first employer, because you're worth it. L'Oreal. And to do so, I'm extremely excited to discuss and meet with an iconic personality, the Global Human Resources Director of L'Oreal across all divisions, the one and only Jean-Claude Le Grand.
Hello.
And welcome, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
For hosting my cameraman and myself here in L'Oreal at the head office, the international head office. Jean-Claude, when I look at your posts on LinkedIn and all you do, I see that you have a very busy schedule. So thank you for allocating us 1 hour of your precious time. And at the same time, I say to myself, you do so many things at once. People usually say men are not able to do multitasking. You are the best proof that it's possible.
It's a challenge. I try to do so. It's related to my wife, to my daughters. It's a challenge with them. It's a joke also with them. I'm a woman like you.
Can you tell us, what does, if this exists, a typical day in the life of Jean-Claude Le Grand look like?
A typical day, like today, for example, it's a cocktail between one-on-one with people. And I try to follow people on a kind of long period and to discuss about any topics. It's always something I try to push my team to do so. And today I discussed with top managers, and we spoke openly about cancer, about the consequences, about some colleagues with some. She gave me a lot of information. I discovered many things, like always with people, but I saw also a fantastic e-commerce expert, initially a lawyer, who became one of the top people in the knowledge of TikTok, for example. We discuss, and it's always, a conversation about the people. But it's also
you try
meetings.
to open new facets of personality so that they
but not forcing people
express themselves.
Yes, because it's a way for me to understand better, to learn a lot about themselves and others. But I did also 2 meetings before coming, because I'm pushing at max with an old partnership with Danone to open EVE, with fantastic seminars in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, and to launch in the beginning of 26 in Latin America and Mexico. At the time, or suddenly during the last 2 months, everything changed. Everybody's mind, a lot of major change, and not for the best, about the role of women leaders in companies, the equal treatment, the minorities, I don't know, from gay, lesbian to black people. So suddenly it's not the same. We started to work quite a few months ago, and suddenly it's more evident than ever.
You mentioned Eve. What is Eve? Can you say a word on
Eve,
that?
it's a seminar. I participated actively to the creation with my team probably 15 years ago or even more in Europe, and it's a seminar of 3 days, and it's a way about a lot of super accurate topic. It was quite new 15 years ago about well-being, about work-life balance, about trust, because as you know, Michaela, it's impossible to buy trust, you are building trust. And like I'm old now, I'm able to multiply things during the day. It's funny because I share my agenda, and if you want to take an appointment with me, I think it's not possible before September. It's funny because now I lack a doctors, so
and we need to fix our appointment and be really on time.
Funny,
A very demanded doctor. Jean-Claude, this podcast is about leadership.
Yeah.
And I know there are so many different definitions about leadership. When you look at what people say, what is leadership? I would be curious to hear, what is your definition of leadership?
My definition of leadership. I agree with you. I think that there is no only one style, one way. I think that if I have only one tips or piece of advice, and it's not necessarily evident, especially for my generation, is to be yourself or sincere at the day one. I think that there is no time to waste. There is no replay. And I think that a lot of people, they imagine that they need to play a role or to play a game or to imitate. Guys, be yourself. It's enough.
Yeah.
After, if you are not necessarily the right person, you want work and work again. It's something is absolutely fantastic about yourself. With one of this interview today, it's not necessarily one of my favorite topics, but I'm always, not sometimes discussing about the kids.
Yeah.
You imagine this fantastic woman. She's a mother of 3 guys. One is starting to learn. He started years ago. He's more or less fluent in Chinese, doing an exchange program in Tsinghua. It's one of the best Chinese universities. The other one is in California.
Tsinghua University. I've been teaching in Tsinghua University in Beijing.
Yeah, congratulations. He's in Beijing. The other one is in California, moving to McGill in artificial intelligence.
Yep.
And the third one is a physician at École Polytechnique de Lausanne. So you imagine, for me, it's crazy how we're able to do so many possibilities. And about leadership, some people are limiting themselves, and we have no limit. But we need to be conscious of there is only one limit, is the time. Because some people are procrastinating about what I'm going to do, planning. One part of my team is working about 5 years ago, it had been COVID. 5 years later, what are the consequences? What does it mean in terms of hybrid work or remote work or full return to the office? I think that one of the crazy things of today, people are lacking about the importance of the speed, and because we have no time. We are only there for 60 seconds, life if we are comparing with the history of Earth. And I think that people imagine that they are there forever.
If I say to you, leadership is, you would complete with what?
Yourself.
Yeah. Amazing. I remember when I started at L'Oreal, this was in 1999. You were already Human Resources Director.
Absolutely.
And today you are overlooking all of the divisions of the 94,000 employees across
because we just merged of the 4,000 employees of ESOP. Some of them are listening, more than welcome. Yes.
And so you have people from really all across the world. Which were, in your opinion, the biggest stepstones that really marked your career as a leader in your position today? When you look back to your moments, was there 2 or 3 stepstones where you say this was critical to how I became as a leader today?
No, I think that it's something I try to encourage and to replicate, and it's a little bit more complicated to the size of the company, because I grew not in a startup, but already L'Oréal was already a big company. It was not necessarily as visible as today. Now, it's the fact that taking early responsibilities. I think that is absolutely vital. We need to push this idea of there is no correlation between your age and your level of responsibilities.
Okay. No matter your age, you can take leadership even at a young age.
These companies, the generation before, gave me super big responsibilities when I was 33 years old, because it was 25 years ago, and I overtook 35, and I overtook the French. I'm more a consumer guy initially, but in the consumer good division, it was Division France.
Yeah. I
was very young, and they said, well, go for it. It was thousands of employees. It was super important. At this time, L'Oréal in France was a very important masterpiece of the European. And you imagine when I started, for example, to take this the helm of this personality, there is no business in China. We are building China with the effort of a generation of people there. So it was that. After I took in 2000.
It was really the opening of the Chinese market.
2000, I was 35 years old, and I became the head of HR of Cosmetic Active. It was one of the 4 divisions of the company, and it was a great possibility. But I was coming for the consumer good, why changing? And it's only after that I discovered the importance of promoting people young, changing all the time. And not to say, I'm occupying something forever.
Jean-Claude, you are, to me, a real people person who loves to connect. And I remember we recently
for nothing.
We recently met again at the newly renovated historic head office, the Visionnaire, beautiful location where Eugen Schiller, Visionnaire, where Eugen Schiller, François Dalle, they had their head office. You immediately remembered me, we chatted together, and you put me in contact with people of your team. You need to talk to this person and that person. To me, this is really what I call relational intelligence, this intelligence of connecting people and amplifying things and moments. Where does it come from? In your opinion, this talent of connecting people and working with people, who gave this to you? Maybe even when you look back to your childhood, I don't know.
No, but it's going from that, clearly, but because I was super shy, so I was observing all the time, and I was not I want to be outside. I remember so well. It's funny because one of my daughter is like that. I remember I told her, she's 13 now, and it was 6 or 7 years ago. She came to a birthday party and she said, I don't want to stay without you. And she cried. Even myself, I never managed that with my parents. So I said, okay, I understand this, so I'm going to take you with me. And we discussed a lot about that. So I was super shy. And the second things, and people, they don't want to believe me about that. So it's a
but it's
the truth. If you're asking to my family, my father, he can't tell, boy, he's old now, but and it's a work. It means I decided one day to be less shy.
Okay, it was your own decision.
Absolutely. Because I said, guys, finally I'm going to miss so many opportunities. But initially I was in my bubble, don't want to be with others, I was shy. And I said, finally, it's a shock. I realized that I'm going to miss something. So it's a decision. It's not coming because somebody told me, it's because I said, I need to do more, I need to work differently, I need to behave differently. But it's a choice. You
know what? I have so many, because my second profession is professor in business schools at Audencia, and I have so many students who are shy. Shy. They don't dare to speak up. And I tell them, speak up, because then we interact and becomes much more exciting.
They
can't. Do you have any recommendation for so many shy people in the world?
You are going to waste your time.
Tell them.
No, but life is super short. You have only, it's the reason why I'm always preparing people, say, guys, it's between 35 and 55. You have a window of 20 years, and during these 20 years, you need to change the world. I think that lucky I've been. It's one of the piece of advice of my mother. We told me a long time ago, came from China, a proverb, life is like a comb.
Life is like a
comb.
comb.
And it means that you have the comb when you are bald. Because when the people are young, they never imagine that they're going to be bald. So they don't use the comb. And it's only at the end of their life when they have no any more hair, they say, guys, but it's too late. So use the comb, the sooner will be the better. And it's always a conversation about that. Because when, especially young males, have so many hairs, say, guys, 10 years after you are not anymore. And in between it's only 10 years. So life is super short. You have no other way. Be yourself. The sooner will be the better. Don't waste time. And all these years, say, I'm shy and I'm going to train. No, guys, no time. No time to waste. And I think it's one of the secrets of life.
Wow.
Is to help people to be themselves. The sooner will be the better. Don't waste time. There is no time.
Amazing, amazing recommendation. Don't waste time. My dad, he always says, carpe diem. Use every single moment, every single day.
But when the people are young, they ignore this piece of advice. Well, that's right. Lucky I'd been, I took into consideration at the age of 18, this kind of idea.
Since you've been with L'Oreal for 30 years now,
it's long.
You are one of the people, one of the leaders who really shaped the company culture of L'Oreal. And also making L'Oreal, to me, it's one of those companies which masters keeping long-term relationships, even beyond after when we quit L'Oreal, we still stay in relationship with that. What would you say is this unique company culture of L'Oreal that gives it a true competitive advantage?
Absolutely. If you're asking us, the difference is, it's funny because first, it's the real advantage. It's based on the human resources policy. And human resources policy means done by managers. It's a frame, it's not only for HR, It's all together the way we are embarking people in the adventure. But what is fantastic about that is 10 times more easier to replicate than a patent. But no worries, nobody is going to do so because it's only a question of commitment and to deal with people, with humanity. I can tell you that it's another story. It's great to declare, it's something. So it's what I say. Guys, if I'm going to be judged, judge my 30 years. And especially my last 8 or 9 years of HRD of the company. So all the decisions I took, I'm able to assume, and it had been done with always this idea of people at the center, and not only consideration, economical consideration. It's a battle. I have also the same financial people that everybody. Guys.
Now, what you do today is you overlook all of the 4 different divisions. I've always been with the luxury division. And you moved through many different divisions. Today you overlook all of them. I animated actually conferences for all divisions at L'Oreal after I quit. So I animated a conference for cosmetic active, then many times, by the way, for professional hair care and also for the luxury division. And it's always just a great feeling to be back, to be back home. Like today, back home.
It's the reason why we decided, I decided 10 years ago. So more or less there is 1,000 people per year are back. Boomerang. So now everybody's practicing. Super. Do it.
Yeah. So what I would be super curious to hear from you is when you recruit leaders for the luxury division, how is leadership different from somebody who is expected to lead, in the luxury division where we have beautiful brands, Mugler now, we have Prada, Armani, versus maybe mass market division where products...
There's only one way. This idea, it's funny. It's always my conversation. I'm going to have a meeting with the luxury people. You saw probably like me, that in the leader of Lux a week ago, they promote 2 L'Orealian guys. I recruited both of them at sortie d'HEC 25 years ago. They never spent a minute in the luxury industry. So no, there is no leader for the hair division or for LDB, even if it's a pharmacist or even if it's a dermato or even if it's somebody. No, I need people who are embarked with the same qualities. Energy, curiosity, respect of others. With that, I'm done.
3 key.
Yeah, and
Energy,
I can tell you that
curiosity,
and I'm spending a
respect.
lot of time to interview in order to be sure that the people have this level of energy, commitment. They want to change the world. They have dreams. They are not on their sofa saying, guys, I don't know what is going to happen. I don't need this kind of people.
Which tells me that leadership qualities are universal.
Absolutely.
In order to embark people.
Yes, absolutely. That's his idea. In the luxury, it's different. It's funny. No,
it's not.
It's
Maybe
you.
it's different in marketing because here we have different.
You can learn.
Of course.
You can learn, but after you can change. Why people are there for? It's very interesting. Jean-Paul entered in this building at the inauguration time in 1978. So you imagine, 1978, almost 50 years. If he's still there 50 years after, it's not because he has a gun, it's not because it's an obligation, it's not forced, it's because it's a pleasure. Why the pleasure is? To do international career, 1,600 expatriate. Like Emmanuel, we discussed about Emmanuel Goulin, you cross Emmanuel, big up for Emmanuel. So you imagine...
one of my first colleagues.
Imagine Emmanuel, he moved to Asia. He came back, we sent him in Italy, he discovered something completely different. He changed from luxury to another global role. So it's a challenge. It's always a challenge to adapt, to see how people are going to adapt. And be careful about appearance. Because if you know Emmanuel, some people think he's very classical. You don't dig, guys. It's the reason why also I'm working for more than 20 years on appearance. A lot of people, they are going to judge in 2 seconds. Because we are animals. We
Just
have a
what you wear, how
guys,
you behave.
It's clear, it's great to have a feeling. But the feeling is the animals. The education, or the background is to have insight and to judge with humanity. And not only because I love, I hate, I don't know the color, the age, the color of the skin of the hair. It's visible. We are animals. We're able to evaluate that. But after, we need to work on it.
So that's also a great learning to not judge from the first impression on people.
It's normal to have one.
Of course.
But we need to consider that, but not to judge.
Stay on it.
Yeah, animals are going to stay on this first impression. They're not going to have a dialogue.
And we can dig. We can question.
We have to dig. And especially HR people. They have to dig.
Absolutely.
And they have to dig and to know.
Yeah. I think you have, I don't know how many thousands of talents you've recruited at L'Oreal.
A lot.
A lot.
Now, I used to say I interviewed 35,000 people.
You've seen many people pass, others recruit, not recruit. But when you have to recruit somebody in a leadership role, how would you detect that somebody can become one of those potential leaders of tomorrow? And I remember...
I'm always starting with this idea in mind. I'm always searching with the new Hieronimus, who I remember so well. Many times ago, I was searching the new Wayne Jones or the new Agon. So I'm always this quest in mind. And I'm pushing the people to reveal the best of what they are. I think that we have a lot. It's the reason why, for example, initially, years ago, my predecessors are working, so one person, cream of the cream. No, now it's all players. We're embarking everybody. And because we have all talents, the question is, and after it depends on your life.
Sure.
Are you mobile, not mobile, ready to jump in? It's so personal. Your personal life is great or not. You have some difficulties. Suddenly you have a disease. I discuss about you about cancer. You imagine suddenly your life is still a super taboo. Your life is changing. So you are not necessarily at the top of the time. So we need to consider this
like
bumpy
ups
life.
And downs.
Yes, we need to consider that. And after, is the reason why Napoleon is always asking, are you lucky or not? It doesn't mean nothing. At this time, nobody is playing Euro Million. It's a question of, for me, to be lucky or not, is to be lucky to be cursed enough. Because, as you said, everything is coming from others.
Yes.
So all others are going to help you. It's true in your personal life, it's true in your professional life. But you need to be careful and to listen carefully then.
This innovation is was one of my questions, where I think it's very interesting. L'Oreal was to me always a pioneering company.
Yeah.
And of course, there's
something we are taking also ideas of others.
This very important role of product development.
Yeah.
Lots of people are developing new products, trying to disrupt, trying to bring out new products. They succeed or they fail. I mean, you have both. What did you do in terms of human resources management, in order to create for so many talents a good ground for innovation, so that they dare to, openly think, to break the box.
And it's a growth mindset. As the idea is, say, guys, how we can create new ideas. We are going first to add a service or real innovation, and it's a stimulation. And because to describe L'Oreal, and I used to say that with people they know, the first shock is in the first meeting, because you are around the table and there is a conversation, and suddenly you say, wow, she, he, they have ideas different from mine. It's super stimulating because you are not, like in many companies, the only one. There's a bunch of super talented people. This is the secret. The secret, at the difference of many companies, not only one leading, other who are okay, is to have hundreds of super talented people. And like the idea, and something I changed many years ago, is not to say L'Oreal careers, there is less and less opportunity, say exactly the contrary. There is more and more. Because we are creating new brands, because we are launching new countries, because we are launching new categories, because we are observing the world differently. And when we are entering in aesthetics, it's different. It's clear that suddenly it's opening new ideas for people coming from LDB. By the way, we doubled the size in the last 5 years, like startups. When we are acquiring Aesop, it's fantastic new exchange, discovery.
What happens when L'Oreal acquires a new company like Aesop, for instance, from a leadership perspective? What is happening
we are
in
mixing.
the company?
Some leaders are still with us, some are coming from L'Oreal.
So in the beginning, when the company has been purchased, what kind of trainings did they get in order to
they are integrated? One of the key of the
L'Oreal
success is to do it. The sooner will be the better. If it's only on the side, the guys, no, you are not really L'Orealian, but not completely. It's a big mistake. We learn of the mistake.
And how do you onboard people today?
With this idea of fit. It's one of the first surprise of people, because I used to say you need 2 years to catch a culture, to understand, to decode. Before 2 years, it's very complicated to discuss, because it's something very human connection. And we are creating a program where there is averagely 100 connection, because we want to help people with the first network. We are a very network company, so they need to know people in order to leverage this connection from the lab, from operation, from the supply, from digital, from tech, in order to work in a coherent system.
What would you say did L'Oreal do, or did you implement, in order to value talents, to make them visible also within the company? Because that's something I observed. Sometimes you have talents and people don't even know it. People don't show it.
Yes, but we help them to reveal. But there is many initiative internally to help people to reveal, like we did for external with Brainstorm.
Can you say a word about it?
About Brainstorm?
Yes.
Oh, Brainstorm, we started. It's funny because initially it was a business game. Everybody came on this market. A big business game from Danone, from LVMH, from Procter. Today there is nobody else. And because always the question is a question of long term. It's great to start something. It's better to unleash, to work again with different teams, different visions. So we are almost 35 years after. This year we are going to reach 200,000 students everywhere.
200,000 students.
One day it will be 1 million. I said to the team many years ago, one day it's going to reach 1 million. That could always a surprise. But one day it will be 1 million of students, because it's not only a way to select, it's also a way to learn, to train. And so this is Brainstorm. But internally, we're also internal competition of best practices. It's super powerful, especially, for example, in the consumer good. I'm a member of the jury, and it's a lot of people presenting best practice in sales, in innovation, in marketing, and it's a huge stimulation. But it's not a way to assess their quality, because we are assessing all the time. We are an assessing machine.
Since you mentioned Nicolas Hieronimus, who's the CEO, the global CEO of L'Oreal, you are so close with him side by side.
I know him.
I
know others.
How do you see him as a leader?
But for me, it's very interesting, because it's very human. For some people, sometimes it's quite cold, but no, But he's radiant, guys. He's there for almost 40 years. He knows a lot of things.
What are the major challenges working so close with a CEO who's heading really all of the strategies of a giant like L'Oreal?
No, the main challenge is always the same. Like it's a long-term vision. It's more to think who is going to replace him and who is behind the scene and who is going to replace him, the replacement of him.
Yeah.
I remember very well when I was young, the dream of Mr. Angels was to reach 15 billion euros turnover in 2000.
Yeah.
We ended more or less at 45. Even for him, he's quite old, probably today. He's watching the company, said what they did, and it's due to the quality of what they did in order to select, for example, Hieronimus. When he was young, he was working with him, with Patrick, after he became the number 2 of Jean-Claude Le Grand. The success for me is the fact that we're able to select on this idea of long term.
What made you decide to step right into people leadership, human resources?
It's a long time ago. It's when I was very young, because it's the reason why I have a lot of respect. You know, it's a trend to say in France, ENA, so École Nationale d'Administration. It's not at all interested. So I prepared, but I felt, because the preparation was so intense, I prepared a lot. I was coming from Provence, and I felt that it's possible to have it. It's possible not. And I prepared Plan B. I was 22 years old, and searching, and it's always like that for me. It's exchanging with people, and also I saw a book at this time about the headhunter. It was one of the first book, and I said, why not to explore this kind of ideas? And entered in Dauphine. It was the second promotion of this training about HR. It was at the end of the 80s, and it was something completely new.
Okay.
Because initially, my dream was to be a diplomat. I was always with this idea of connecting people, to be in tune, in touch with people. But I discovered that this
and that's
idea
why you wanted to do ENA?
Yeah,
to become a diplomat.
Absolutely. And finally, I discovered this new HR role. And I started a long time ago in this job. And for me to be HR, it's a fantastic opportunity, first to be in connection, but to have an impact. But it's super funny, because when I was young, it was when I was in a dinner or in a cocktail with friends or in a party, people say, what is HR? What are you doing? It's nothing.
When you told people what you're doing, they were
no interest. So it's clear that when I started, almost 40 years ago, HR was completely on the side.
Okay.
Today,
it's at the heart of a company.
Especially, and thank you and congratulations, you are a great coach, but for especially coaching. It's also funny, because this morning I was searching a document, and I found a document where I did for Jean-Claude Le Grand this time. It's part of the innovation. So, for example, I had been the first in 1998 to discuss with external coach and to start coaching internally. I remember so well the reaction of my manager at the time. So, my dear Jean-Claude, you are telling me that somebody from outside, outside, wow.
Impossible
what
to
a
let
danger.
somebody come inside the company.
Somebody from outside is going to help somebody from inside to improve. Yes, exactly that. and we did it, and it had been fantastic.
You did it.
And today, it's funny, because only from my population, there is 80 coach.
I just wanted to ask the question. So that the image today, the reality today is that
there's coaching everywhere.
Coaching everywhere. And I guess all of the leadership teams have somehow
but
coaches
it's
on their
also
side.
one of my jokes. It's like a great HRD is Christina Cheno. It was many years ago. She created a program. It's coaching tool for HR. And I did it because I said it's not only for everybody, it's also for me. And I realized how impossible it is to do, for example, internal coaching. For me, now I'm a coach, I'm certified, and that, guys, coaching is a gift. Coaching is not a link internally. So I realized many things, like always, to be trained and learn. And recently I did a post because I've been trained to ProSci methodology. So I want to demonstrate that even if now I'm 60 years old, it's absolutely possible to be trained, to go back at school, to learn, to pass exam,
I saw that post. To continue
because
all the time.
I asked to the trainer, and he told me it's the first time that there is an HRD in this program, but a Nordic company did it. But the guy said, no, I don't want to have the exam. I said, yes, I'm going to do the full experience. And even to pass exam at my age, it's funny because everybody is expecting, oh, I'm going to fail, or I'm going to miss, or, but you know.
But this is, I think, a great learning for all, no matter your age, your level of experience.
Yeah.
I think it's a lifelong experience.
Yes,
I think just the day when you think, I know it all,
Yeah.
you're done.
You are done. You are
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. In your leadership career, is there somebody who was like a mentor to you, somebody you looked up to, somebody who pulled you up? You said, this is somebody I admired and I learned a lot from?
Not really. Yes, one of my boss was Patrick Rabin. It had been the role model, even if the guy was super harsh. No, I think that it's more the idea. I remember very well because it's funny. 30 years ago, I'd been interviewed by L'Oréal. It was spring, exactly 30 years ago, spring 1995.
This is when you started?
No, when I'd been recruited. I started months after because I negotiated because I was in a very good term with my previous employers, and I was not the type of person, and I'm engaged with people. So I said, guys, I'm not able to move in 3 months. It took 6 months because I want to be super fair and to say bye-bye to these people who I employed during 5 years, a lot of crisis with them. It was a very tough moment. I was working for an Italian company in the tech industry. I can tell you that it had been years of restructuration. So it was impossible for me just to say bye-bye. So it took 6 months, and I started beginning of 1996 there. But my interview had been during spring and summer, 30 years ago precisely. But what I remember very well, I was in front of the HRD and in my mindset, one day I will be there. It was completely impossible, completely underdog, not coming from L'Oréal, quite young at this time, but more than a role model, because I saw the guy how he worked and said, one day I want to do it, not to occupying something, but just to have an impact. Because especially, it's funny, 5 years ago it was COVID, we can discuss about, but today, for example, with the crazy change on many topics, suddenly we need to have people with
long-term vision.
Yeah, calm and not excessive.
Not overexcited.
No, I'm overexcited, but I'm
keep
calm
cool
now.
when things are not happening the way
Absolutely.
that you expected them to happen.
Absolutely. Like in sport is the reason why I'm practicing a lot, because it's like in sports, you need to win, you need to lose, you need to stay calm, you need to cry for emotion, but you need also to keep this humanity. What is the most important thing?
And since you mentioned the word coach, I mean, it's a word that a lot of people use now, right? It has become this fashionable word. Everybody wants to be a coach.
In French, I call that la mouche du coach.
It's a word that comes from sports. And but to you, and especially you are a coach, what is a good coach that really makes an impact for somebody who is
I did this training because I want to, thank you for that. You told us that you started with that. A L'Oréal manager is somebody who is able to do a lot of things by his own. So you're asking to the team and finally say, okay, I'm going to do it. A coach is something he's helping others to do. What is complicated for traditional L'Oréalians who are super entrepreneurs. No, for me, a good coach is somebody who is helping you to think. But it's a super long. It's a super long journey. What is the most important? If you're asking me, it's funny because when I did this training, it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, and because it lasts a year. And in this training, you have to help somebody for free. And I came to a young, powerful woman and said, I'm going, are you okay? To test on you. And so I did that on somebody who is today the first woman who is leading McKinsey in France. So I think that more than coaching her, my main quality is to detect the talent.
The talent.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my main driver. What is funny about that, because everybody thinks that he knows. and it's something you need absolutely to accept that it's complicated, but you need to be curious enough to meet really the people.
What is curiosity for you?
His question is, I have this image, it's also antenna. I used to say that male are absolutely bad at that. So they need to be super close to you. You say, please. And women are able sometimes to, so I try to have people like hand, who are able at 10 meters to feel something and not to be in your face.
You know, when I step on stage in a huge conference, be there 50, 100 or 2,500 people, I can sense if the audience is in a good mood, if the audience is afraid, if they are super scared, if they are funny, if they are positive or if they're negative. You can tell it.
Absolutely. But I've been trained because I did, in 1987, I did the French election campaign. I learned a lot about that.
With whom?
With Raymond Barre. He passed away. It was a social democrat. And I did the campaign, but I used to do meetings with thousands of people. And one of the learning is to start the meeting in the back in order to observe the crowd, to understand the feeling and the mood of the people. But I fully agree with you. It's possible to cap if you want. But if you say, no, I'm a star or I know better, I don't need it. So some people, they have no any curiosity, so they have no any antenna in order to detect this kind of weak signal. And because we're animals, even if I have time, we are well educated, we're animals. So like animals, we need, and we are social animals, we need others. I need to see you, you need to flirt. There is many emotion due to the connection between human.
What Jane Goodall, by the way, teaches all the time. You know, the famous lady. And I met her when I was 13 years old. We spent time in Tanzania, and she told me, we humans are like animals. So what you say, it just resonates so much.
It's exactly what we are.
I remember when I entered, during the time when I was with L'Oreal, way back, 25 years ago, I started. There were leaders who were really tough, who were even feared for their very strong.
Not fear, because it was personal. This generation of people,
but
they are not speaking about your ideas, they're speaking about you. So immediately after 5 minutes, if they are not okay, it's an attack. It's an attack. Recently I was in a meeting, it was obvious, guys, why suddenly you are not respecting, you are attacking personally. There is no any interest, but I think it's a question of generation.
I think at least this is really something that I remember well. There were some leaders people were afraid of before they had to present their products, their plans, their strategies, and oh my God, what is going to happen? At this time, Lindsay Owen Jones, he was the CEO. There was this confrontation room.
Confrontation is good. It's confrontation of idea. I think it's good. The question is how? If suddenly it's becoming personal because you are confronting an idea, but if suddenly I say, Michaela, your idea is a piece of shit, but we can discuss. But
then it can hurt.
No, it cannot, but we can discuss about the idea. But if moving from your idea is not a good one to you are stupid because this idea is came from you, that's the problem. The problem is not, it's fantastic to exchange. Say, I disagree, I agree, I understand, I don't understand, I want, I don't know. It's great for me. One of the qualities of L'Oréal is the ability to say no.
Yes.
But the problem is, if suddenly I'm moving from your idea is not the right one, because it's not only my emotion, but we can discuss, but you, because your idea is not the right one, you are stupid, that's a problem.
That hurts.
Clearly. And it was directly not a conversation about the idea, but about you. The problem is coming about that. And you are feeling suddenly completely attacked.
That I observed with some leaders, and when I think now, years after, I'm not sure if this kind of leadership would still work, especially with the younger generation. And that's why I would like to ask you the question, like looking, 20, 25 years back and today, in which way has leadership changed so that it can work and be also motivating and engaging, because in the end, that's what
there is only one way. even some of these guys are harsh, but some are harsh with nobody behind them. I use the image of the not Austerlitz is for the French people is very meaningful, and a lot of people they love Napoleon. So it's Arcole, so there's this painting in the Louvre where there is Napoleon taking the flag and crossing the river in Italy. It's the beginning of the legend, the Pont d'Arcole. So there's the legend, it's storytelling, it's marketing, it's advertising campaign, it's what you want. It was that because it's not happened on that way. But anyway, everybody, for a lot of people, they have this image. And I used to say, guys, in the old model, the prime is I'm able to find a lot of ambitious people taking the flag and crossing the river.
Right.
The problem is not that, is if you are so unmanageable that it's your camp that are going to kill you in your back and not the people in front of you. The question is, who is going to kill you first? Because if you are, the question is the aim. So some of these leaders, I worked with them, some are fascinating. This Patrick was able to speak about Goethe when we were in Germany, or Shakespeare in England, or crossing. I was in
very
a party
cultivated as well.
in Korea. The guy was able to tell you essence of trees. So super cultivated. So it's clear that it was fascinating, and some people are following, even if the guy was super harsh. So it's more the quality of the people. But it's clear that he lost probably connection with people because sometimes he was so harsh. People, they are okay to follow or not. For me, even the new generation, the question is not new, old generation.
Yes.
The question is, what is the aim? What is the sense of purpose? What is going to happen with me? Or I'm going to be respected as an individual? Or they don't care because they think that finally they don't need me. So we need everybody and we have to respect everybody. And I think it's not evident for people. It's the reason why, for example, often I explain to my team, we need to be strong with the strong and weak with the weak. And a lot of companies are doing the contrary. They are super strong with the weak and super weak with the strong. It's a question of complacency. It's a question, so for me, it's a question of to be demanding, to explain precisely what the rules are, and after to help people. And not to help some of them because I love them, or because they like me, or because I know them, because I'm in front of them. No, it's to be fair. But what is the most important thing is non-complacent.
And adapt yourself to the type of person that is in front of you.
For that, you need to have a lot of emotion and to be curious about yourself and not to say, guys, I'm a star. It's not existing anymore. We don't, superheroes, it's only for Hollywood.
Superheroes, that's maybe the past.
But because it's not existing. It will be fantastic, but it's not. It's like in the Disney. It's a conversation I had with my daughter. Don't the
young people want to be the superheroes with all the social media and?
No,
what is your observation?
My observation is, when I'm discussing, because during many years I've been in charge of talent acquisition, when we are discussing about generation, I used to do this exercise, is to close your eyes, to be with me in Paris in 1830, in a theater, there is a battles in the street, and because why? Because it's the premiere of Hernani from Victor Hugo, is the beginning of the Romanticism. I can tell you that is more something is going to change the world than an iPhone 16, is going not to change anything. Okay, so I think that is not a question of generation, it's a question of context. So what does it mean to jump in Sainte-Mère-l'Église during the night of the 5 or the 6 June 1944? Do you think that the young troops from America, they want to be killed on the beach at the age of 20? Nobody wants that. It's a question of what is the aim, what is the goal, what is the motivation, what is the explanation. And what we need today is more explanation. It's not only say, guys, you are going to jump and I don't want to listen any word.
Why and what do we expect from you?
Clear. And if it's clear, people are able to follow you. If not, they don't want.
So the leadership recommendation that I hear out from you is be more clear with the younger people on the purpose of their job, of their what is expected from you, and then they do it.
Absolutely. Like others.
Like others.
But they need explanation.
More pedagogy, maybe.
Yes, more. Not because they are weak and we are strong. No, just because people, it's, for me, part of the human odyssey. It's totally normal that people are more educated and they are going to be more and more educated. And it's a fantastic advantage.
It is.
At the difference, I need to have some educated, and the rest are going to follow.
Which also means that with more educated people, we need also more educated leaders who can also up-level everything.
Yeah, absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
I can't have a leadership discussion without talking today about AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes.
In which way do you feel already that artificial intelligence, of course, is touching everybody of us, all of the companies?
No, it's a
might
word,
it
it's a
impact?
buzzword,
How might it impact leadership?
But I think it's going to help because suddenly you have more capabilities. But I think it's also able to add things. Do we need? My concern is more the fact that we are hyper solicited. We are going to be more. So my concern is more about the health of the people because we are receiving so many information. So artificial intelligence is going to help us to do more.
Yeah.
And
where is the barrier?
Yeah, where's the barrier? Because now we are able to have more capability. At the difference of some bank or big consulting firm told us, the question is always a topic for me.
Yeah.
Why suddenly this new idea came and immediately say it's going to kill 300 million jobs, 60 million? Why just to say it's going to help a lot of us?
Yeah.
It's enough.
Fully agree on that.
Okay.
I know this is always a tricky question, but I still ask it to you. When you look back to your career, what are you proud of?
I'm not type of people of proud of something.
I know, that's why I anticipated that.
No, but I'm
but there can be something
proud of something, guys. I'm coming from the middle working class. My mother is not there, my grandmother neither. But I think that if they imagine that one day I will become this person doing a lot of things for male, female, rebalancing the power. I think it's related also to these two fantastic women. She had been super inspirational for me. And probably, I'm not necessarily proud of something, but they had been very proud, I think. Because recently I received many honors. It's not for me. It's for.
Yeah. But there's something I think you can be proud of because you were one of the first to initiate this idea of diversity and inclusion. And
against
I think, you correct me, it was in the year 2000, no?
Around 2000,
that you initiated the Department of Diversity and Inclusion
absolutely.
in a time where this word was not at all in companies. Today it's
even
a different
in the
story.
US, but yes, but it's funny because I used to say I've been lucky to be one of the first, and if I need, I will be one of the last.
Yeah. But why already at this time was this important to you?
Because it's humanity. It's clear that it's also due to meetings, and I realize that it's impossible not to rebalance the power between men and female. Why? I've been educated in HR, where there's a lot of jurisprudence about the fact that it's more or less normal that women are less paid, and finally why? What is the meaning behind?
No reason.
To do the same jobs, no.
Yeah.
And even if there is great lawyers explaining you that for the same job is normal. No, I disagree with that.
Did you have sisters?
No, only my grandmother and my mother, and a lot of powerful women around me, even if they are super modest and they are a salesperson and they have their own boutique and no problem.
So if I ask you the question, if you put yourself now in the mindset of the age of my daughter, she's 10, and you would have to give an advice to little Jean-Claude.
So it will be
what would you tell?
Everything is possible. There is two good news. First, everything is possible. There's a fantastic good news is related to you. There is a super bad news is also related to you. So that's it.
So basically, take responsibility.
Do yourself. Don't complain. Don't cry.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah. It's you.
So do it. Jean-Claude, thank you so much for this very authentic, as always, exchange, for showing us what you think about leadership. And I also wanted to thank you for accepting to write the preface of my leadership book.
Let's see.
The Power of Relational Intelligence. Because I think knowing you really incarnate relational intelligence, this cohesion of people in all of their diversity, no matter their age, no matter their gender. And
I need to thank people. But I use this opportunity to thank you, to thank also Nadej, because she's going to help me to do this preface.
If you loved this episode, please write your comments. That's also very inspiring for everybody, for the whole community. if you have people in your environment where you think they can really profit and grow from all of those recommendations that we have heard together with Jean-Claude and also other leaders that I had the pleasure to interview already, share this episode, share also the podcast Luxury Leadership Talks. You know, it's filmed on YouTube. It's also accessible on all of the podcast platforms. And of course, subscribe so that you're not going to miss the next episode. It's already in the starting blocks, and I'm not yet talking and telling you who it's going to be our next leader. Until then, take care and see you soon. Goodbye.